What is going on, everyone? How are you today? It is just another beautiful day, or at least it was here where I'm at. It was a nice day, and I am looking forward to today's interview. Without further ado, I just want to bring you right on because I really am looking forward to chatting with you. Brando, how you doing, man? Great to see you.
I'm doing all right. I really like your hat.
Thank you. You gave it
Can
to me.
I was gonna ask where I could get a hat like that.
Yeah, you gave it to me in Philadelphia when we met in the summer of 2020. That was a good It was a good event. Unfortunately, we didn't sway enough of the public. Well, I don't know if we did or we didn't, but that's
I don't
a
think we're
another.
allowed to talk about that. We
Yeah, I was like, we can't talk about it, and then I'm like, I opened the show, and I'm like,
literally the first thing.
let me. Well, I mean, that's what Walkaway was. You were going all over the country, doing these events, and I felt very honored to speak. I didn't even plan anything. I just kind of spoke whatever I was on my mind at the time. But it was
That's the best thing to do.
yeah, it worked really well. And I've been wanting you to come on the show for quite some time because of what happened to you. And I know you kind of went on an internet hiatus for a little while. I didn't see you, and I don't know if you were legally, um, like if someone
Forbidden.
suggested, yeah, for if you were forbidden or if you're like your lawyers told you to not go on the internet. So and you were basically politically prosecuted for just being who you were in the movement. And it all revolves around January 6th, which, I would like to dive into that. But before we kind of get into that, I want to, for those who don't know you, you started Walk Away, and
Yeah.
I kind of want to hear the story, especially for those who don't know you and haven't heard the story and don't know what Walk Away is. Kind of like leading up to you starting Walk Away,
Okay.
um, and we'll kind of get to the whole January 6th thing and all that after. But just tell us a little bit about your life leading up to Walk Away.
Yeah. And then the other thing, like, please don't let me forget because I don't know if I'm just rusty or what, because I did take that hiatus like you were talking about. But
Yeah.
when people ask me this question, they're like, can you kind of like, re-encapsulate what walk away was or why you walked away? I forget to talk about like the actual organization that we created and still exists. And it's important because it's important to talk about that before talking about the next piece, because I need people to know how much the government tried to take away from me.
Do it
I
right
mean,
now. Do it right
yeah.
now. Give me what it is. What is Walk Away?
Well, okay. So Walkaway started it started with me creating a 6-minute video that I put out in May of 2018, talking about all the reasons why I was walking away from the Democratic Party. I was a lifelong liberal and two-time Obama voter, Hillary Clinton voter in 2016. And then basically it was Trump's election that threw my world into a tailspin and everything turned upside down, as it has pretty much for everybody. I mean, even people who love Trump, I think were
Yeah.
pretty surprised that
Well,
he
more so for you
won.
though,
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
from what
Well, yeah,
happened.
because I was a liberal at that time, and I voted for Hillary, and I believed the media that said that she was definitely going to win, and that this is going to be like the biggest political upset in history, and and then he did really well, and he won, and so my world got turned upside down because I was, first of all, I was like terrified of Trump and his supporters because CNN told me to be,
Mhm.
and Rachel Maddow told me to be, and they don't lie, they don't lie, and so I literally spent like 2 weeks after the 2016 election so depressed and upset. I mean, I was crying. Like I was crying. I was just like so upset. And after 2 weeks of that, I made a decision that this was no way to live. And I was like, I can't feel this way for 4 years. Like that's absurd. I've got to figure out some way to kind of move past this feeling that I
Yeah.
have. And so, and that's kind of how I am. That's and I think that's what differentiates me and probably the vast majority of liberals who haven't been able to make this decision, is that I believe in moving forward from like you can't just linger and dwell. I have a life to live. I only have one life. I only have a limited number of years on this earth.
I
And
love that energy.
yeah, and I'm not going to give away 4 years of my life to that feeling. I won't do it. So, I mean, I fully went into this with the expectation of that I was going to continue to hate Trump and probably continue to hate everyone who voted for him. But my thought process was this: if I can at least try to understand why anyone voted for him, even if I don't like their reasons, and even if their reasons make me sick to my stomach, perhaps if I can just understand it, then I can move past the feeling. And that was really my only goal at the time, was not to fall in love with Trump, not to fall in love with his supporters, just move past the feeling.
Yeah.
And so the first thing I started doing was kind of interviewing Trump supporters, and just asking, like, why did you vote for him? What the hell did you possibly see in this man? And then I also, okay, so the first thing that started happening there was that I started getting these really sound, legitimate reasons. And I'll be honest with you, coming from people that I thought that I was way better than, because I grew up in a tiny little town in Nebraska. A lot of the people that I went to high school with, or, that I knew growing up, were, a lot of them are not college educated. By the way, neither am I. So I don't know who the hell I thought I was. Like, I didn't spend one single day in college, but, I was like, I live in New York City, and, I'm cosmopolitan. I'm an actor. I'm up here, and they're garbage. And so I kind of went and started talking to all these like redneck people that I thought were, probably pretty stupid and whatever. And when they started just hitting me with like policy stuff, and a lot of them voted for Obama, a lot of them were at least one time, sometimes 2-time Obama voters. And they were talking about how Obama's policies were so destructive to small businesses and industrial communities and things like this. And I'm sitting here going, well, I didn't know any of this. And I really didn't, because CNN doesn't talk about that, and MSNBC doesn't talk about that. They just talk about how he's an infallible president, and, oh my God, the Obama years, and it was the golden age of America. And, they didn't talk about how entire communities were destroyed, and manufacturing communities were destroyed, entire coal industry gone. And
hold on, let me just and CNN and like Maddow and all them, they are subtly pushing this victimhood mentality on you, because they want you, like, the way that you felt when Hillary lost is how they want you to feel, because that's how they maintain that control. Like, oh, we need you to be upset at him. Don't go listen to any of the policies. Don't go looking at the details. Just be emotional. Just be upset. Please continue though.
Yeah, no worries. And that leads me to another point too, with the victim mentality. I'm a gay man. I don't want to shock anybody. But and so I was scared when Trump was elected, because all those same media sources were, saying that he's homophobic, he's a racist, he's a bigot, he's, all this stuff. And so then I started kind of diving into the media and diving into how they got it so wrong. And what I started to find time and again is exactly what you were saying, that there was sort of this filter through which the news was being presented to me and the liberal audience, that is designed to basically reinforce and exploit fear and victimhood and all of these different things, and tell you, you can't even look in that direction over there, because all of those people hate you, and they're out to get you, and they want to take your rights away, and all these terrible things. Well, I started to sort of see that myth crumbling the more that I researched and dug into it, because there's this one story, I've told it 100,000 times when I do interviews, but it was really impactful to me. It was this group of Black people who went to a Trump rally to support him. They were supporters. And when they got there and they sat down in the arena, they were situated right across from a CNN camera. Okay. And so when they all sat down, CNN moved the camera.
That's funny.
Yeah. And afterwards, the guy, I mean, it was a pretty good sized group. I mean, I don't know if they were like a political group or a bunch of relatives or what, but I feel like there were at least 15 of them together. Yeah. and they were all just kind of standing in a circle being interviewed afterwards. And this guy was speaking, and he was like, yeah, he's like, we all sat down. And he was like, the second we sat down, CNN just moved the camera. And they went, and of course they framed up a group of white people, you know, to make it seem like, oh God, racist white supremacy rally, you know? And so I started to get the message really clearly that Trump supporters were not what I had been led to believe. I was really having a hard time like sussing out any of the like homophobia or racism that I was being told constantly by the media was basically the linchpin of this entire movement. And so then I started to realize that it wasn't Trump or his supporters that were the problem. It was the media. And that was really shocking. I mean, it's kind of in the rear view mirror for me now, because now we're talking about a revelation that I had like 5 years ago. But at the time, it was traumatic. I mean, it was really traumatic, because this was every friend that I had was a diehard liberal. Everything that I ever believed in. I mean, I hated Fox News. I hated Republicans. And now suddenly I didn't feel like I could trust anybody, because I still hated Fox News. I still hated Republicans, but I was starting to hate Democrats now. And I was starting to hate all the media that I had trusted.
Yeah. Your worldview was shifting.
Yeah. And I couldn't even talk about it with anybody, because I would go to my friends and I would just try to kind of like put a little toe in the water and just be like, you know, the media is saying this, but I was like, I'm not really sure if that's true anymore. And people would be like, so you support Trump now? And I'd be like, oh God, no. I'm just like asking a question. I don't know. I don't think you know. And so, but then it was about 6 or 7 months, I'd say, after that I saw this video that just blew my mind. And it was somebody had taken one of Trump's speeches and cut it down to a 5-minute video. And then they added, you know, music and supplementary footage and stuff. So, I mean, it's one of those like heavily edited videos, but
in his favor or against him?
Oh, in his favor.
Okay.
In his favor.
It could go either way with that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. But it made its point very effectively. And I watched it, and it was almost as though I suddenly connected the dots that Trump represented everything that I had just spent 6 months researching and had kind of come to that conclusion, but I didn't realize that that's why people loved Trump. And it was like, you know, I'm running around like having this epiphany, you know, as I'm doing all this research and stuff, but there's hardly anyone I can talk to about it. And so I'm kind of just keeping this information to myself, but my mind is being blown. And I'm like, oh my God, everything I ever believed in was like reverse. Everything is upside down. And then all of a sudden I see this video of Trump just like breaking down everything that's wrong kind of with the left and why he decided to run for president. And like my hair kind of stood up, and I just instantly at that moment was like, I get it. Everything. I get it now. And that's when I joined the Trump train.
When was that? What year was that?
That was 2017. And I officially walked away from the Democratic Party in March of 2017, but then I came around to Trump probably around like September of 2017.
Okay.
And then in May of 2018, so then I got this. Am I allowed to swear on your show?
By all means, yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Just be yourself.
Okay, so when I came around to Trump, I started to get this huge case of the fuck it's.
Okay.
Yeah, and because I was like, I just started to feel so emboldened by what I had, because I had done the research at this point. I'm like, I'm not going to get pushed around by all of my, you know, these leftist people and my liberal friends. They don't know what I know, and they won't even listen to me. Like, it would be one thing if they would sit down and like, you know, debate it out with me and have a conversation, but they're just like tearing me a new a-hole just because I'm asking questions about, you know, and so that's when I decided to sit down and create this video where I was just going to like rip off the Band-Aid and say everything that I ever believed. And at first that's what it was going to be. It was just going to be this video where I talk about the reasons why I'm walking away. And I was going to just post it to my Facebook page for my, you know, several hundred friends, and basically just be like, here, this is why I'm walking away. And if you guys, if you don't like it, just unfriend me and I guess we're done. But then I was like, you know what? I bet that there are hundreds of thousands, if not maybe even millions of people who are feeling exactly the same way I'm feeling, because I had spent all of 2017, having this revelation, feeling like there was no one I could talk to about it, feeling like there was no community that you could go to be like, I'm reversing my opinion on almost everything. And can I get some support here? And so I was like, I'm going to create this hashtag walk away. And I'm going to encourage other people to tell their stories and make their videos and join. Like, let's make a community out of this. And let's all find each other using this hashtag. And I was just hoping that the video that I put out would be resonant enough with people that it would spread, that we could get this thing going. So I created a Facebook group, hashtag walkaway campaign. And I launched the video in May of 2018. And within weeks, it had gotten millions of views, which was incredible. Yeah, because I had no following. I mean, I literally, no one knew who I was. I had no media contacts. I had no political contacts. I had no money. I literally, and I want people to know that too, because I think people think that you can't make a difference in the world unless you've got all this backing and you've got all this support. And I mean, I didn't even have a single AM radio station or in my phone podcast, nothing. And I had $300 in my savings account at the time. And, probably less than $1,000 in my checking account. And I just shot a video and I put it out and it got millions of views. And within 6 weeks, I was on Tucker Carlson. And then I was doing Fox News like every day for a while there. And then by that summer, by like July or August, which would be just 3 months later, we had like hundreds of thousands of people in this group. And just the testimonials and the videos and everything were just flying in.
Yeah.
And then and I'll make this really quick because the question was, what is walkaway?
That's fine. No. Well, I started with tell me how you, like what led you to it. So you're kind of, doing
Setting
both of these questions at once. So, take your time with it.
Well, the next part of the story is actually kind of funny, and not that many people know this, because this actually, in a way, I've never really thought about this before, but I think the fact that Walkaway has become 2 official organizations, really 3, really sort of stems from this next moment in a way that happened. So it was July of 2018. Walkaway was now 2 months old. Alex Jones asked me to go on his show. So I wasn't sure if I should do it or not, because I had been getting so much mainstream attention and I was being asked to go on Fox regularly and stuff. But I was like, you know what? I don't want to be that kind of person. I don't want to be like, oh, I'm going to shy away from the controversial. I was like, I'm just going to talk to everybody. And I will, by the way. I mean, if CNN would ever have me on, if MSNBC, if Rachel Maddow, like I would talk to anybody and share my story. But, they don't ask me to come on.
They don't want that. I've seen you debate. That left versus right debate that you guys put on was freaking glorious.
Good, right?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one. I heard that you mentioned you were going to do another one, but please continue though.
Sure. So I'm on Alex's show, and we were in the commercial break, and he says to me something like, can you tell me something interesting about that you're going to be doing, or I can't remember. It was something. And I said,
pretty good Alex though.
Yeah. And I said, I was like, well, you know what? I was like, I'm thinking about I said, we have so many people that are joining this movement and making testimonials and stuff. I was like, the midterms, the 2018 midterms are coming up at the end of the year. I was like, I've been kind of thinking about like maybe going to DC and like doing a march, like a walkaway march. And he's like, that's great. He's like, we're going to announce that coming back after the commercial break. And I'm like, no, I don't have any money. Like, I don't. And so we come back from literally, I'm like telling him, I'm like, Alex, I was like, I'm just like, it's just an idea. And we get back from the commercial break and he's like, Brandon Straka just told me something that everyone needs to know about. He's like, tell everyone right now. And I'm like, we're going to do a march on Washington at the end of the year and whatever. And then Alex goes, I'm going to pledge $10,000 right now. And he's like, I want everyone to match what I'm doing, And so I completely unwittingly announced to the world that Walkaway was going to do a march on Washington. I had never done a march. I'd never done a political event. I had no idea what I was doing. He did send me $10,000 that day. Wow. And then people started rolling in donations. So at that point, I'm like, oh my God, I have to figure out how to do a march on Washington now. So
Too late.
yes. So I started assembling just a team of people that I thought would be talented and good at doing this. And it was incredible. I mean, we really overcame every odd because we went bigger than we actually should have. We decided to make it a weekend. So we decided to have a gala dinner at Trump International on Friday night, a march on Washington on Saturday, and then a closing brunch event at Trump on Sunday. And so I somehow had to figure out how to sell hundreds of tickets to a $350 dinner at Trump International and get people to come to, and the permits and and dealing with the police and all this stuff. Somehow we pulled it off. We had, I think, 550 people at our gala dinner. We had thousands of people come to the Walkaway March on Washington. And then Dinesh D'Souza came and spoke at the closing brunch event. And again, we had like 400 or 500 people at that brunch. It was absolutely amazing. But we ended up raising a great deal of money at that event. And at that point, I realized, I was like, okay, this is way more than a Facebook group. This is way more than a social media movement. We've really got something here. And so going into the end of that year,
which is we're at 2018 right now.
Yeah, Walkway's still only 5 months old.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
5 months old. Yeah. And so at that point, actually, it was probably, before that, it was probably in like September or August, we applied for our 501c3 status. And by the end of the year, we were officially forming the Walkaway Foundation. And then, so going into 2019, we got our 501c3 status. We developed the Walkaway Foundation. And then we also created the Walkaway Campaign Super PAC, which we've hardly even really used at this point. And we're almost officially really launching the Walkaway PAC this year because we ended up doing so much work with our foundation in 2019 and then the beginning of 2020, and then everything shut down for COVID.
Right.
But that was a very, very long way of explaining that what Walkaway is now is a testimonial movement on social media, which Facebook banned, but we're going to be coming back from that. It's a foundation and it's a political PAC, which is we're really going to be kind of relaunching this year. But it's quite amazing what we've done. I mean, we've raised millions of dollars from the grassroots over the last few years. And we don't have millions of dollars because another thing that I'm really proud of is that we take our money and we spend it. I mean, we do events like you said. I mean, in 2020, when people were terrified to go outside, and even when we had a Republican president, people were still following orders to not leave their house while Black Lives Matter was going out with impunity and smashing up the country. And I said, hell no, like this is wrong. And so we ended up producing 19 events in 2020, like rallies, which we called Walkaway Rescue America rallies. We went to Democrat-run cities and Democrat-run states, and we allowed people to march and we allowed people to demonstrate. And we were basically just saying, number one, Antifa and Black Lives Matter does not have permission to destroy our country. And they don't get to be the only people who get to leave their houses and demonstrate. If they get to do it, so do we. Yeah. And we really wanted to just empower people to push back against this, Marxist, radical, violent leftist takeover. And that's when you and I met at one of those rallies.
Yep, in the summer of 2020. It's interesting. It feels like, because you mentioned this right away, how the Maddows and the Stelter and the CNN and like the way that they portray everything, like take how they portrayed the Black Lives Matter protests. I want to say protests because they were riots. Sure, there was protesting, but there was also riots, and like oftentimes you couldn't tell the difference. Not to take away from the people who were actually trying to peacefully protest, which more power to them. They should be allowed to do that. But as soon as it goes past peaceful, then we have an issue. But the way that CNN, it's the famous meme of mostly peaceful protest, fiery but mostly peaceful, and it's like people were actually getting burnt alive in their businesses because they were trying to put the fires out.
Yeah,
horrendous. And that's kind of how that was right when I met you, was kind of like I was in that phase of like awakening where I'm like, I can't believe it's that bad, that it's this bad. And that's kind of what my speech was about when I
Right.
spoke at the Rescue America in Philadelphia, which is rather blue. Like, my goodness, it's a blue place.
Right.
Um, so that's incredible. And I wanna now like kind of go into the end of 2020, early 2021. But before I do, usually I wait till the end to read super chats, but I want to just read this one real quick. This one came from a Kyle Beckman. It's for $20. Thank you, Kyle. But he says, Brandon is the reason I left the Democratic Party and became an
Oh.
independent and a Trump supporter. I was tired of the left saying I was mansplaining or white-splaining. If I thought different, the left is extremely racist. I just wanted to read that real quick.
Thank
Uh,
you. Could I just really quickly too, because I also read a comment.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I'd like
please.
to just address this now and shut it down because,
Okay.
yeah. So somebody up here says he just said he spent all their cash. So, well, where is
I
this?
didn't hear you say that, but
Yeah. Oh, here it is. He said he spent all their cash. How is, and then it says, how's the grow growing? But I get the point. First of all, that's not what I said. What I said is that
right.
we raised millions of dollars. And then I said, we don't have millions of dollars. So we're actually doing very well. And I have to say that even given what I've gone through in the last 16 months,
Mhm.
I haven't had to lay off any of my employees or any of my staff. And that's because we've been very financially responsible and very
Yeah.
frugal. What I did say, and perhaps it came across wrong, was I said we spend the money we have. And what I mean by that is that there are a lot of organizations who I'll not name right now,
Hmm.
that are bringing in $40 million a year. And I don't think they did a damn thing in 2020. I don't think they did much of anything in 2021. Now, we were never bringing in $40 million. I'm saying that we raised probably a total of $2 or $3 million over the course of 2018, 2019, and probably part of 2020. But if you
Yeah.
look back over those 3 years, we literally did like 75 to 80 events during that time. I mean, that's what I mean. Like, we're not taking millions of dollars from people and then people have to sit around going, well, what's Walkaway doing with the money? Like,
Right. I've
look at
seen
what
it.
we're doing.
Well, I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah.
I don't mind calling someone out. Black Lives Matter, the organization, gathered all sorts of millions and millions of dollars and were buying mansions.
Right.
And they bought the former head of the Communist Party's mansion in Canada, and 6 mansions across California for the CEO. It's like, how much of that money has gone? It's like 8% or something gone to like actual black communities to like
Yeah.
help their community. It's like, what are they doing with the money?
Yeah.
So
And I've bought 0 houses, just so everyone knows. I'm in my
there we go.
rented apartment. I am an apartment renter. So, I mean, even with all the money that I, because the thing is, the moment you start doing pretty well and you have some success and people
Mhm.
are paying attention to what you're doing, there are people on both sides of the aisle who immediately start calling you a grifter and a con artist and all of this different stuff. And the thing, to me, it's like, the fact that that type of person, that's where their mind goes, it
Mhm.
makes me want to be like, that's the reason why you're not successful, because
Truth.
you're so
Mhm.
short sighted. Like, you're the type of person who thinks that because $1 or $2 million comes in, you're like, oh, payday, let's grab the money and go party. To me,
Right.
I'm like, if I have $1 or $2 million rolling in, then that means I've got something that eventually we can turn into 20, 30, $40 million. I mean, it's about the long game. Like, I'm building something that's going to be way bigger than
Mhm.
even it was already. And part of the way to do that is I didn't pay myself at all for 3 years. I was actually a volunteer for Walkaway for the first
Oh,
3
wow.
years. Yeah. And I was doing fine because I was getting asked to speak a lot. I did something like 47 speaking engagements in 2019.
Wow.
And
Okay.
and I'm not getting paid what the people there are people out there making 20, $30,000 to get to speak, which great, good for them. I'm
Mhm.
not getting paid nearly that much money, but I make it up in volume because I love to work. And if you go out and you speak 47 times and you get paid a little money to do it, you do fine.
Yeah.
So my whole thing was about growing the organization and growing the movement, and um to me, I've never seen $1 million before. I've never seen $2 million before. I mean, that's like an astronomical amount of money to me, but I just have enough, I guess, business sense to know, like, you don't grab $1 million or $2 million and be like, I'm out of here. See you, suckers. You know,
I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah.
Exactly. Someone in chat asked what a grifter is. A grifter is someone who latches on to a movement for the sole reason of getting attention and making money off of it, and they don't really care about what they're talking about. They only want the attention that's already being that's already focused at the thing. It's like they jump into like, hey, I'm a part of this too, like you should give me some money, you know, like that's what a grifter does. They don't really care. I mean, sometimes they do actually care, but they do it for the money. They don't do it because they're passionate about it.
Yeah.
And that's like the opposite of what I get from Brandon here. You know, you're very clearly what would I say? You want to help people realize the truth of what's going on. You know, I've listened to you speak, and that's basically I didn't say that, Arrow. You said that. I'm not gonna say her name right now because you know that's a that's another subject. Maybe it's true, but that's okay. But let's move forward though. Because I really, man, I felt so horrible for what has happened to you because, and I don't know if a lot of people know what happened. So January 6th, you know, whatever the election, we don't need to focus on that. You all know that. You watch my show. I can't even talk about it. But regardless of the election, January 6th is its own thing that has happened that this news media that we've spoken about has basically used as like their sole focal point to keep that aggression towards not opening your mind, not looking into what the people on the other side were actually looking at. Like, we'll just keep it based. Trump's politics, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot more that people were looking into at that moment, but you know, just this was before, you know, you were looking at Trump's policies and like what people were saying about what he was doing and what he actually represented. And that kind of opened your mind. So January 6th, you were there, Walkaway was there. And well, I kind of want to hear your side of this.
Sure.
What happened that day?
Well,
Yeah, I know. So what a weighty
happened?
question. What
Yeah, I know.
happened that day? My goodness.
Well, okay. First of all, let's just, point by point. Let's make sure that we keep everything as accurate as possible. So, Walkaway
Sure.
was not there.
Oh, they weren't. Okay.
No, I went entirely as a private citizen, and the reason why I went two things. First of all, certainly my foundation cannot get involved in an election and be like, the foundation can't. Well, okay, let's start there too. Walkaway,
wherever you need to start. Yeah, I got ahead of myself there.
No problem. January 6th aside for just a moment, the mission of Walkaway is to wake people up to the manipulation of the left and the media and the ways in which they're being manipulated and exploited by the Democrats. Yeah. My mission is to get people to wake up and walk away. I've always made clear since day one when I launched the Facebook group, even in the description in there and on our website, we talk about we're not trying to make you into a Republican. We're not trying to make you into a Trump supporter. Like it would be counterintuitive to create a movement that's about waking up to free thinking, and then here's what you need to think, and here's what you need to believe.
Good point. So it's a good way of putting it. Yeah, I like that.
Right. So Walkaway would never get involved in an election or be like Trump won, or so that it's just we would never do that, and we didn't do that.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I went as a private citizen. I wasn't even planning to. I was in Georgia actually doing a door knocking and phone banking campaign that I was calling #SaveTheSenate because the two Georgia Senate seats were Georgia has this weird thing where they do the runoff election. And that runoff election, my memory's a little fuzzy right now, but I feel like that was happening around like January 4th or 5th.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah,
I was paying attention to. Right.
It was like right at the same time. Maybe it was January 5th. I don't remember. But so I was planning to stay there through the election. I was actually going to be a poll watcher in Georgia. I was really excited about it. I'd gone all over cable news and run my mouth talking about how the American people can sleep soundly because Brandon Straka's watching the Bulls in Georgia and stuff. And it was kind of cool. I should have just done it. I mean, my God, if I had just stayed there and done it.
Right.
But
my goodness.
then somebody reached out to me, I think like the first week of January, or second, third, something like that, and said, we want you to speak at the Capitol. And that President Trump was going to be speaking at the Ellipse, that there was going to be a march from the Ellipse to the Capitol, and then dozens and dozens of people would be speaking at the Capitol. That was always the plan, as I understood it. And for a while, it was even being suggested that I may be speaking at the Ellipse too. Now, to be like, in the interest of total transparency, and this is, I've kind of just recently started talking about this. My story is like the worst possible like cautionary tale in terms of like, listen to your gut, always listen to your gut, like, because I had already given up on the election, even though I was one of the most prominent voices out there after the election, being like, stop the steal and blah blah blah. I felt like the election fraud issue had been handled so badly on our side. I felt like they had the wrong people in there. It was confusing. Sidney Powell was out there telling people she was going to release the Kraken. And,
I remember that. That's funny.
Giuliani has hair dye dripping down his face. And I mean, it was just such a mess. Everything
it was a hot mess. I agree.
It was a total hot mess. And honestly, I was embarrassed. Like, by the time we had gotten to January, I was like, there's no way we're going to redeem this. It's sad, but Biden is going to become the president. Correct. And this is a mess. And this was just really, really badly executed. But then I got this offer to speak, and everything inside of me felt like it was the wrong decision, because I felt like I don't really think I believe in this anymore. I feel like I've built my reputation and my relationship with my audience by always being as honest with them as possible. Like, I've really never lied to my audience about anything. And I don't. You can make a lot of money as a conservative if you pretend to be more religious than you are, to be more Jesus-y than you are, and I don't ever do that. I'm always really honest with my audience about where I stand on God and religion and all of these things. And I know I could make 10 times more money if I just said the right words, but I don't. And so I wanted to kind of maintain that authenticity. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't feel like I should be going to DC and rallying about this election when I truly believe in my gut that it's over. I do. I think it's done. And I talked to a number of people in my life who I trust and are kind of, advisors to me. And they just said, look, this is a really historic experience. Even if the election is over, this is going to be your last opportunity to go and kind of stand up for President Trump and stand up for the American voters who are, no matter what happens, the American voters are feeling completely disrespected and invalidated by their own government. And couldn't you at least go and just be their voice? And so, oh God, I almost feel emotional right now. Just like go there and be their voice and like be the, and when I started like hearing it that way, I'm like, you know what? Yes, I am going to do this. I am going to do this. And so very reluctantly, I made the decision to change my plans, cancel my engagement to be a poll watcher. And I think it was like on the 3rd or 4th. It was very late. I bought a plane ticket and I flew to DC. And I arrived in DC the night of January 4th. I got a very last minute offer to speak in Freedom Plaza on January 5th. So I did. And I got up on stage in Freedom Plaza on January 5th, and I gave this very fiery speech. I was like shouting and, really like authoritarian kind of voice and, and basically just saying that, and I was letting everybody have it. I was letting the Democrats have it. I was letting the Republicans have it. I was letting the media have it. And I was basically just saying, this is a revolution that's happening in our country right now because the American people are tired of being steamrolled by our government. They're tired of being steamrolled by the media. And finally, it took, coming this close to losing Donald Trump to sort of awaken the beast in the American people and say, we've had enough. Like we are the people, we don't live under your authority, the authority of CNN and Joe Biden and
big tech and government.
Big tech. Yeah. Thank you. All of that. That's what my speech was about. And so then the next day was January 6th. I went to the Ellipse. I sat there, listened to President Trump speak. It was weird. I have to be honest. It was very weird. Most people will never say this out loud, but 100% of the people who were there do feel this way. I think that people were shocked because we were expecting that there was going to be this big revelation. It seemed that's why we were all being told to go there, that something was going to be revealed that was kind of a game changer or a smoking gun of some sort. Yeah. And instead it was kind of just a standard campaign speech that we heard. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, like
that's it.
Yeah, nothing's gonna happen here today.
I'm with you. I was there too. I was out in I was out in the field listening, and I feel the exact same way. Because I was, my ear was on the ground for everything. I was in the midst of all of it, and I was living outside of DC at the time, so I was like, I have to go to this, and I'm with you. There's nothing special about what Trump said. It was just kind of like a couple regurgitated points that he had already said, that he was already kind of like known for saying. And then of course he said near the end, it's like, now we're going to go over to the Capitol building.
Yes.
And it's like, okay.
But that didn't seem unusual to me because that's exactly what I had been told was going to happen.
Exactly. Right.
So it wasn't like, oh, we're going to the Capitol now. He's telling us to go. Like, the media is trying to make it sound like that wasn't a thing. And by the way, there's so many graphics that were created like a week before.
Right. The plan.
Here, and here. Yeah. And then the media is like, he told them to go to the Capitol. Well, he told us what everyone already knew we were going to do. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Right. So, okay. So I had 2 hired security agents with me.
Okay.
And well, not yet. They weren't at the Ellipse. So I left the Ellipse. I was one of the last people to leave the grounds. I mean, I don't know how many people were there, but I know that there were hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, there was a lot of people there.
A lot, and depending on who you talk, I mean, some people are 25 million people, but I'm like,
no,
okay, I don't know about
not. Yeah. I don't even know if it was 1 million people.
Yeah, I think that there were 200,000 to 300,000. That's my estimation.
Yeah,
but
I also want to say, you said you waited until he was done talking, and that was at like 1:15, if I remember correctly.
Sounds
it was like
right.
1:15, 1:20, and according to like the news and everything, people were already like the worst of the violence had already taken place. Of course, not until, of course, Ashley Babbitt got shot and killed afterwards. But that's like the initial clash between the cops. That all happened before Trump even finished talking, and that's I always find that interesting because they don't want to talk about the timeline of things. They just say he told them to go, and then look what they did, and it's like, what?
Totally. I mean, this whole. We're about to get into all this, but like the whole narrative that the DOJ has created is based off of stories and innuendos and really pressuring people to sign documents that they write that support their version of a story that is not true. I mean, honestly, if you were to believe the DOJ and the media narrative about me, you would think I created January 6th.
Right.
I mean, they're like,
did you?
Yeah.
Did you? I gotta ask. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I know you're kidding, but it's honestly in a way, it's like one of the things I think is so tragic about my particular story is that the truth is I was probably one of the last people in the entire country to even know that it had happened.
Right.
Because most people were watching on television in real time. I was there. I wasn't watching on television.
Right.
And I was also on the opposite side of the building than where all of that stuff was happening. The window smashing and the fights with police officers. All that. I
Well,
didn't
and so
see
was
any of
everybody.
that.
So was everybody. Because here's the White House, or I guess if you're on the screen, here's the White House, and then there's the path that people walked, and then here's the Capitol building. Everyone was meeting in front of the Capitol building. All of the violence happened on the other side. Like, it doesn't even make any sense.
No.
But please continue.
Sure. So, okay, so I was one of the last people to exit the grounds of the ellipse. And so it took a long time. I mean, I would guess, oh my God, it had to be at least 145, 150, excuse me, before I was able to even just exit the grounds. So we quickly had to go to my hotel and meet my hired security agents, which we did. And when I say we, I had a couple members of my team with me.
Okay.
And so met my hired security, and my security told me that I was not allowed to do the march, which I was really upset about because I love doing marches. I like a child. It just makes me so happy.
Okay.
But they told me there's too many people. And first of all, one of the main reasons or functions, I guess, of my security when I hire security is to keep me on time. So it's not because I can't get from point A to point B without getting into a fist fight. Like that's not the thing. It's just that a lot of people want to stop, take pictures. They want to talk to me. They want me to sign something. And, it's very nice. And I love that. I really enjoy that type of interaction. But they were essentially telling me, they were like, there's hundreds of people marching and you're never going to get there if you do this because you're going to, 700,000 pictures. And so I was sad, but they said, we have to go on the DC Metro. So I got on the DC Metro with them. We're on the way. And my memory is that we were getting close to the stop that we had to get off at. And that's around the time that I started getting some text messages from people who are at home, not in Washington, D.C., watching on television. And they were saying things like, we're hearing on the news that people are going inside. Now, I had no idea what that meant, but I can be I think that my first thought was about when Alyssa Milano and Amy Schumer and all the different times that left-wing protesters have gone inside buildings, and been like, we're not going to take it anymore, and then they get dragged out within 5. I mean, I'm sure it's against the law. I mean, I guess I'm learning that now, but it's always been presented to us as not that big of a deal. I mean, that's my opinion, is this happens all the time. Left-wing protesters go in, they shriek for 5 seconds, somebody drags them out, and it's just not usually that big of a deal.
Yeah, it's happened many times. Many
times.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's my first thought. My second thought is, that seems really unusual because I have never seen Trump supporters behave that way. And in fact, usually I'm annoyed as hell because I'm running around the country trying to get people to just leave their houses and show up and hold a sign, and that in itself is pulling teeth. But now suddenly people are going inside and they're, mad as hell. And I'm like, I don't know. So I'm, and it's the news. I don't believe anything that anyone tells me they hear on the news. Right. So I'm hearing this from multiple people, that, people are going inside or something's happening, So we get off at the DC Metro and I'm thinking to myself, I want to get there. One of two things: either none of this is true and I'm still speaking and I want to get there and make sure that I'm able to speak. That's the whole reason I changed my plans and flew here. Mm-hmm. Or something is happening that is unusual, and I want to be there to capture the footage and take, man on the street interviews and stuff like I've done a million times over the years. So I started shooting video when I was about, I would estimate 3 to 4 blocks away from the Capitol. Okay. My whole thought was, so first of all, and I'm sure you know this, if you're at a large public event, you cannot live stream. It's like you won't get a signal.
Yeah,
It's, you
no
know,
signal at all.
it'll
I
be
had no
super
signal. It
pixelated.
went in the eclipse. I couldn't check anything on Twitter or anything or whatever because there was just too many people trying to connect to the internet. I only
Exactly.
found out because I actually went to my car to like re-up the the meter or whatever because I found like a metered spot not that far from where Trump was speaking. So I went there, finally got a signal, saw that people were inside, and I'm like, how? Like we just like they just left. Like he just finished speaking. Like how are people inside already? And then I'm like, well, I gotta get over there and see what's going on. So then I skated over there, but it's crazy. Yeah, but you're absolutely right. There's absolutely no signal.
Yeah. And and the other thing too is like, not only can you not get a signal out, but if you try to shoot any video, it's going to be super pixelated and choppy and horrible. So I've learned this lesson enough times to know that when you're in a situation like that, you have to just shoot everything that you can directly to your camera roll. And
Mhm.
then later, go through and try to find if you have a few good moments that you can isolate and upload those to social media. But it's always better to shoot more because you never know when something might happen. And so that's why when I was about 3 or 4 blocks away, I started shooting because
Mhm.
I just thought to myself, even if someone's like running away from the Capitol and screaming something crazy, I want to capture, like I want everything. So I start filming and I'm approaching from the east side. So I'm approaching the east side of the Capitol from the east side grounds. Now, whenever people think about January 6th who weren't there, they're imagining the west side grounds. That's like the side where people were seen smashing windows and struggling with police officers and
And
uh,
climbing up
flashbang,
the
yeah,
wall.
scaling walls,
Mhm.
flashbangs going off. None of that was happening where I was. None.
Same.
And in my video, which people can watch, it's on the internet, you see that I'm approaching the east side grounds. It's super calm. People are just kind of standing around talking, smoking cigarettes. There's just nothing, like no unusual activity whatsoever.
Yeah, it was
And
peaceful.
very peaceful. And there's also I'm not making this up. Again, people can just watch my video and see there are zero, zero police officers in my video that were present. I'm sure at some point throughout the day there were some, but when I got there, zero police officers on the east side grounds, and there were no barricades. None. The sidewalks were completely open. There was
Huh.
bike rack. Again, this is all just watch my video. You can
Yeah.
verify everything.
Well, no, I'm
The
thinking back to when I got to that same area, and I agree. Like, I don't recall seeing any police officers or barricades
Yeah,
anywhere.
none.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't even think
Yeah,
about it.
and that would have been super helpful, especially
Right.
since I got charged with so many charges that were about being on restricted grounds and going into a restricted area. And I'm like, it's kind of hard to know something's restricted when there are zero barricades, zero police officers, and thousands of people standing around.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But so nonetheless, I advanced forward toward the Capitol, toward this crowd of thousands of people standing outside. And as I got near the steps, in my video, there's a man in the video who is hollering down to the people below, and he's motioning like this, and he's
Right.
saying, he's shouting, and you hear this in the video. He's shouting, "They've opened the doors. They're letting us in. We're going inside. We're going inside."
Yeah.
And at that moment,
He was FBI. No,
I honest, who knows?
it
Who
wouldn't
knows?
surprise me at this point.
But at that moment, I walked up to the top of the steps. When I got to the top of the steps, there were like several hundred people standing there. Now,
Mhm.
this is what I'm telling you right now. Everything I'm telling you right now is from my video. So I want to be clear, like no one has to take my word for anything. I'm
Yeah,
only going to describe to you things that you can see for yourself if you watch my video.
documented.
Right. So you get to the top of the steps, and what you see is that the two large metal doors on the east
Magnetic
side
the
are
magnetic
wide
lock.
open.
Yep.
They're both open.
And for those who don't know, those have to be unlocked. You can't just open those. They're magnetic. It's like Fort Knox. You cannot open those unless they are opened from the inside. Just want to point that out.
Somebody opened those doors. I don't know, but when
Somebody.
I got there, they were open.
Mhm.
And so the doors are open. There were, I don't know how many, but I would estimate several hundred people standing at the top of the stairs facing toward the open doors.
Mhm.
It was not a stampede. And it's funny because it didn't even occur to me at the time. In fact, it only kind of recently occurred to me how, like, wondering what the people were actually kind of doing, because there was no like forceful effort to get inside. Some people were going in, but the
Mhm.
majority of people were just standing there and filming. And I was at the back of, there were hundreds of people between me and the open doors. And so because of that, I took my phone, which was filming. I held it as far above my head as I possibly could, like this, pointed
Mhm.
it down toward the door. The reason why is because there were so many people in front of me. Many of them were taller than I was. A lot of people were carrying flags on poles that were hanging down. It
Right.
You couldn't see very well. I mean, you really couldn't see much. And so I was just going like this, trying to capture anything that I possibly could. Now there's this one moment in my video, within the first, I'd say 3 minutes that I'm standing there, that you start to see that the crowd is kind of swaying a little bit to the left and to the right because people are kind of shoulder to shoulder, and there's a girl who wants to exit and go back out onto the grounds. And like, I don't know if you've ever, well, most people, like, if you've ever been at like a concert or like
Yeah.
even a crowded nightclub or something like that, where rather than a person just like taking a second to find their moment to get through, they just try to shove,
Yeah.
and then when they try to shove, everyone starts like kind of going like this. So this girl's kind of like pushing against the crowd and trying to get out. And you can't see it because I'm the one who does it, but I kind of like went like this to kind of create an opening for her. And
Okay.
I said, go, go. And then you see her in the video and you hear her respond to me. And she's like,
Yeah.
relax, relax. I'm going. Something like that. She says something like that.
Yeah.
Now we'll just pin that for a moment because it becomes
Oh,
very
I could see where this is going.
right, right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So there's that. And then I stood there for 8 minutes
Mhm.
filming. I never went inside the building. I would estimate that I didn't get within 35 feet of going inside of the building. And after 8 minutes, a man comes outside and he gets on a bullhorn and he says something like, he's like, they're all a bunch of fucking pussies. It wasn't Alex Jones.
No, okay, I was gonna say, was it Alex Jones? No.
No, no, he's already, I think, in enough trouble.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, it was this guy just like, they're all a bunch of fucking pussies. They've cleared Congress. He was like, clear out, something like that. And he's telling people to clear out. I immediately turned around. I
Mhm.
told the people behind me, I was like, you're supposed to clear out, go this way, go this way. And then I walked down the stairs and I spent about another 20 or 30 minutes out on the outer grounds just interviewing people. I shot 13 videos doing like street interviews with
Yeah.
people, trying to kind of gather information. During that time, people were saying Ashley, well, they didn't know her name, but they were saying a woman's been shot. So I was trying to interview people about what they saw in regard to the shooting. And then I left and I went back to my hotel room. It probably took me at least an hour to get back to my hotel. I immediately uploaded my first video to Twitter, the one of me entering the East Side grounds, going up the stairs, standing there, and I don't even remember what I said, but I probably said something like, this is what I saw today at the Capitol, whatever. And then it was about an hour or two after that that I turned on the news and I started to see all the things that had happened on the west side of the building.
Mm.
And when I started to see that, I was shocked because I was like, nothing like that was happening where I was. And it almost seemed like something out of a movie. I was just like, people scaling walls. And I remember the image of like, there's one police officer being squeezed in a door and he's like, and I was just like, who are
Yeah.
these people?
Yeah, exactly.
And like, what is this? And so I very quickly knew what was going to happen. So I immediately removed my video, deleted my video from Twitter. I deleted all of my tweets that I had put out that day because I was like, I don't need the hassle of people being like, he was there, he saw it. I was like, I wasn't there and I didn't see it.
Right.
So I just deleted everything. But I wasn't worried. I was not even the tiniest bit worried about, not at all, about anything.
Yeah.
And I flew home the next day. And so then starting the next day and for the next 2.5 weeks, even though I had deleted my video, Twitter trolls, like I have just like the most mentally sick people in the world who are my trolls. Like every single thing I post, they immediately screenshot it or like archive it somehow. So even though my video had only been on Twitter for like an hour, they had already copied it like immediately. So I deleted it, thought nothing of it, was moving on with my life. But for the next 2 weeks, they were maniacally reposting my video and tagging the FBI and telling the FBI to come arrest me. Still, I was getting a little more nervous because as the weeks were going by, the FBI was now starting to like storm people's houses and raid them and arrest people.
Right.
And I was kind of like, I hope that doesn't happen to me, but I was like, I don't like, I didn't do anything. So it's not going to happen to me. Like, it's going to be fine. And then it was 2.5 weeks after January 6th, on the morning of Monday, January 25th, I woke up to the FBI pounding on my door at dawn. And I knew immediately it was them because nobody knocks like that. I mean, it was like I woke up just boom, 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 boom. And I was like, I shot up in bed and I was like, oh my God, they really did come. Like, this really is happening.
Yeah.
And I went running out to my door and I said, who is it? And they said, FBI, open up. And I opened my door and there were, I think, 8 or 9 agents on the other side.
Wow.
In tactical gear. They came in. They came into my apartment. Within 30 seconds, I was turned around and put in handcuffs. They presented me with a search warrant to search and seize my property. And then a team of agents came in with their little gloves and started just collecting my computer, my iPad, my phone, hard drives, thumb drives, clothing. It was insane. And the lead agent, that's what I call him, told me that he was taking me to jail and that I was facing multiple felony charges for what I had done at the Capitol. And I remember saying felonies. I said I didn't even commit any crimes. And he said to me, oh, I saw your video. Like, I saw what you did. And then I'm thinking to myself, well, what did I do? Like, and I'm telling you, it's like the craziest thing because I don't think that I'm insane. But when you've got a team of FBI agents in your apartment who have just dragged you out of bed and you're totally disoriented and they're telling you you're facing felony charges, like your brain like splits. And I was just sitting there going, did I do something and I don't remember it? Like I literally, I was like, did I like beat the hell out of someone and I completely blacked it out? Like, because they're making it sound like I did something horrible. Yeah. And I'm trying to replay the day in my mind as quickly as I can, and I'm like, I got nothing. Like, nothing's coming to me. So they took me to jail, and I got there. It took me about an hour to be processed in. It was really horrible. They took me in, and I had my mugshot taken, and they print out the mugshot and turn it into a little bracelet that's got a number on it. And at that point, you just kind of become inmate number whatever. And it doesn't matter whether you're guilty or not guilty or what you're accused of. You're just an inmate in the jail system like any other criminal. And
hold on. Let me ask, though. Is it a like a specific jail system? Like, because the FBI, or do they get you and bring you to like a normal prison or, a regular police precinct?
I was put in county jail.
Okay, county.
Yes, but the county jail where I live is bad. Oh. It's really bad.
Most county jails are pretty bad, I think. But
yeah,
I'm from Chicago, Cook County, and Cook County jail is really bad too.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine. Is that where Jussie was?
That's where he was. Yeah, he couldn't stand more than a week.
Yeah, I kind of have his back on that one, but
yeah.
So they put the mugshot bracelet on my wrist, and from there, they took me into a little concrete stall, kind of like a shower stall,
Okay.
And I had to take all my clothes off, and I'm standing there completely naked except for my little mugshot bracelet, and a complete stranger comes and takes your clothes away, and then they come back and they bring you a pair of brown underwear and a brown t-shirt and orange pants and an orange smock and plastic sandals, and that's your clothes now. And so I put on my orange jumpsuit prison uniform, or inmate uniform.
Yeah.
And from there they took me into a room called medical, and a nurse guard man was standing there waiting for me, and he said, I need your arm. And I said, why? And he came at me with a syringe in his hand. And he said to me, all new inmates in the jail system have to take a TB test. And I was just horrified. I mean,
Yeah.
I horrified. I'm thinking to myself, like 2 hours ago, I was in my bed, sleeping peacefully, dreaming a lovely dream, whatever. And now I'm in an orange jumpsuit and about to be entered into the jail system, and a complete stranger is about to stick me with a needle and inject a substance into my arm, and there's literally nothing I can do about it. There's no one I can talk to. There's no objection that I can make. I have no choice. And
Wow.
so he took my arm and slid the needle under my arm and injected something, and it formed a bubble and under my skin. And he said to me, if that turns blue or purple, you might want to let somebody know. And I'm like, who? Like,
Yeah.
who do I talk? Where's HR? Like, who do I go and talk?
Yeah.
Because I'd like
Right.
to go right now. I have a few complaints about how
Jeez.
things are going. And from there, they took me into a room called intake evaluation, and I sat down with this very military-like, stoic, very intimidating guy who's asking me this series. And he told me right out of the gate, he was like, I'm about to ask you a lot of questions. He's like, they're going to feel really uncomfortable. They're going to sound really inappropriate. But he was like, I assure you, this is just standard procedure. And I'm going, lay it on me. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like,
Whatever.
yeah. And so he starts asking me questions about, like, have you ever been affiliated with a gang? Do you have sex with men? Do you have AIDS? And then he said to me, if a fight breaks out in the jail, are you able to defend yourself? And I'm like, no. Like,
Wow.
1000% no. Like, I want to go to where you guys put Martha Stewart. Like,
Yeah. Can I have Martha Stewart's cell, please?
please. Yeah. So yeah, they the processing took quite a while, and I'm leaving out a lot of stuff, but
I'm sure.
ultimately they took me up to a cell block, and when I got up to the cell block, that's basically when I learned that I would be in 23-hour lockdown in my
What?
cell. Yeah, they said that I would have to spend 23 hours a day in my cell, that I would be out 1 hour a day for rec time, and which is not like a regular or scheduled thing. It just kind of varies whenever they feel like giving you an hour. Now, at this point, I would estimate it was somewhere around 10 or 11 in the morning.
Okay.
And so I said, and I'm extremely claustrophobic. So I already knew that I was in for a really, really, really bad time, like very bad time. But I'm already in my mind trying to like budget those moments of like freedom. Like, and by freedom, I mean, you don't get to like go outside. You just get to roam around within the very small space of the cell block, which is like, I don't even. I mean, it kind of looks like a school cafeteria, but like 1/8 the size, literally. I mean, it's large enough to have like 2 or 3 round tables where probably like 8 people can fit. But it
Wow.
itself is very small, very, very small. And
Windows?
no, no,
Oh,
no, no,
wow.
no.
Okay.
And so I mean, there are windows, but they just face like a concrete brick hallway,
That doesn't
kind of.
count.
No, no,
Yeah.
no, no. And so I said, am I going to be able to see a judge today? And they said, no. They said the courts are closed. There's a blizzard. They said, there's no court. I said, will I see a judge tomorrow? And they said, we don't know. it depends on the weather. The courts may be closed again tomorrow. We have no idea. I said, can you just guarantee me when I might be able to see a judge? And they said, we have no idea when you'll be able to see a judge. They actually said to me, if the courts are closed for multiple days, there's going to be a backlog of cases. They may not get to your case until the end of the week or next week. Now, this is Monday morning, about 10 a.m. So I'm now finding out I'm going to be in 23-hour day lockdown. I may not see a judge until next week. And that was it. And so they took me up to my cell. They shut the door. I was in a tiny, tiny little concrete room with a metal door and a vertical window on the door about like this. The window was so small that you could only look like with your right eye or your left eye, but you couldn't even look like that's how small it was. And the window, I was on the second floor of the cell block. So my window faced down to that rec area that I was just telling you about. And there's a guard on duty at the desk. And so basically I could just look down and see the guard at the desk, and he had a clock above his desk. And that was pretty much what my only view was, which at least I was able to see what time it was. But before they took me and put me in my cell, he had mentioned, the 1 hour a day of rec time. And I was like, so what time is rec time today? And he said, your group has already had rec. Rec time is done for the day.
Wow.
And they shut the door. So like literally it's like 10, 11 in the morning. And I know that I'm not getting out until the next day. And they can't even tell me when. Like it might be the next afternoon. It might be the next evening. They don't tell you. So I'm in my cell going crazy. I mean, it was so bad. And I'm like a chronic pacer anyway. Like when I'm on the phone, I'm just always pacing, moving around. I love freedom. I love to be moving around. And I'm in this little cell, and it took 4.5 steps for me to get from the bed to the door, and then 4.5 steps from the door back to the bed. And for days, I just paced back and forth, 4.5 steps, 4.5 steps, 4.5 steps, 4.5 steps. And and it was very hot. Obviously you can't control the temperature. And so I just stripped down to my brown underwear, and I was just like literally in my brown underwear, and I took my stupid plastic sandals off. And for days I just paced back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I was like in there just thinking to myself, I didn't even know what my charges were. All I knew was that FBI agent told me that I was facing multiple felonies. And so I'm thinking to myself, they're going to charge me with treason, insurrection, terrorism. I'm thinking to myself, when you're in a state of terror like that, and this, by the way, is 5 days after Joe Biden has become president. It's January 25th. So Joe Biden is now the president. The Democrats are in full control of the federal government. I'm Brandon Straka, the walk away from the Democratic Party guy. And I'm thinking to myself, they are going to like charge me with treason and put me to death. I'm thinking, or they're going to charge me with all these felonies, and I'm going to be in prison until I'm 90, and I literally thought that I was never going to see freedom again.
Yeah.
And so I was in my cell for about 2 full days before somebody came and opened the door and told me that I had an attorney phone call. And at that point, I left. I spoke to my team had found me an attorney. I didn't know who my attorney was, but I was able to make a phone call from the jail and tell one of my employees what was going on. And, she assured me, we'll get you an attorney. We're going to get you out of there. Try not to worry. And so I talked to this guy, and it doesn't matter what his name was, but he told me that he had gotten me a virtual hearing with a judge later that day. He said there's about a 99% chance you're going to get released, and let's just deal with this step first. So hours later, I had my virtual hearing with the judge. I'm there in my orange jumpsuit. I haven't bathed in days. I'm like disgusting, and I'm standing there as this man is saying it's the case of the United States of America versus Brandon Straka, and which was just completely surreal. And so the judge told me that he was ordering my release, And I got out about 7 or 8 hours after that. So then I got out after midnight on
Wow.
what would have been like the third day. And then that's when everything, like the nightmare, just kind of began from there.
So what did you get charged with officially?
Okay, so I was charged with 2 felonies and a misdemeanor. The first felony was knowingly occupying restricted grounds, which, by the way, is very strange. I think, as far as I know, I'm the only person that I'm aware of who got charged with a felony of restricted grounds, because most people are getting charged with either, like trespassing on restricted grounds or disorderly conduct on restricted grounds, whatever, but they're all misdemeanor charges. I'm the only person I'm aware of at this point who got charged with a felony. And remember, I never went inside the Capitol.
Right.
So even people who went inside the Capitol are getting misdemeanor occupying restricting grounds charges, but I got a felony. Then they also charged me with a misdemeanor of disorderly conduct, I think in a restricted area or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the other felony was impeding an officer in the line of duty. And I'm going, yeah, right. And I'm going, what the hell is this charge? Like, what are they talking about? And it was explained to me that in my video that I'm shooting like this,
right,
that for about 6 seconds, a Capitol police officer comes to the door frame of the open doors. And when he gets there, somebody grabs his shield, a plastic shield, away from him. And when that happens, you hear several voices from the crowd, just a couple, but you hear several voices from the crowd. One is shouting like, take his shield, take his shield. And the other one is shouting, take it, take it. Well, first.
That's when you said go to the girl.
No. I said go to the girl.
Oh, I just
before that
was making. I thought that would make sense. Maybe that they would think that you were saying to them to go, but
no. So the first, the FBI said, we know Mr. Straka is the voice shouting, take the shield, take the shield. And I'm going, what the fuck? Like, what? Like, because I'm like watching my video after I've gotten out of jail.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing this and I'm going, wait a minute. And so I had told my attorney, I was like, that's absolutely not me. Like that is not me at all. And my attorney talked to the DOJ, and the DOJ got back and said, well, we think, okay, so maybe he didn't shout, take it, or take the shield, but we think he's the voice shouting, take it, take it. So they've now changed their position. Originally, they were like, we think he's, they came and had a SWAT come and pick me up and take me to jail,
right?
Saying on a felony charge of that they knew that was my voice. Well, now they're already changing it and saying, well, maybe it's the other voice.
Maybe.
And so,
wow.
Ultimately, they ended up dropping that charge against me. However, in my plea agreement, was that they would drop both felonies and that they would move forward with the misdemeanor charge of disorderly conduct on restricted grounds. They wrote what's called the statement of offense. And in the statement of offense, they write their version of what you did, which is something that you have to sign in order to get your plea deal. And in their statement of offense against me, they said things like, Mr. Straka went to the Capitol knowing the grounds were restricted, knowing he wasn't allowed to be there, but he went there anyway. When he got there, he went up the stairs into the restricted area. He shouted, go, go, to encourage the crowd to go inside the Capitol. He saw a police officer having a shield ripped away from him and shouted, take it, to encourage the crowd to take the shield from the police officer. So they're painting me as a ringleader.
Wow.
Like now think about this. I literally found out minutes before I got there. I'm hearing, and it's not even validated, I'm just hearing from people that people are going inside the building.
Right.
So according to, and I was going there with the intention of being a speaker. I mean, I'm a public figure. Like, people know who I am. The idea that I spontaneously changed my mind, like, I'm not going to speak today. Instead, I'm going to encourage everyone to beat up a police officer. And then I'm going to film
It's
myself
ridiculous.
doing it. And then I'm going to upload it to Twitter because my conservative audience is going to love that. They're going to
Yeah.
love watching me do this.
Wow.
Nonetheless, my options were to go to trial and deny all of these things.
Mhm.
And we see how well that's working out for everyone, all the J6ers going to trial, where the juries are deliberating for about 13 minutes before coming back and being like, guilty on all charges. I decided, in the best interest of moving forward with my life, I need to take a plea deal. And so I signed the plea deal, agreeing to plead guilty to one misdemeanor charge and agreeing to the government's statement of my offense. And
Wow.
it is devastating. It is emotionally devastating to have to do that. But
Yeah.
those were my options. I had, my options were not how do I win or lose. My option was how do I lose the least.
Yeah.
And that's the decision that I made.
Well, I don't think I think whatever you did didn't make any difference to the fact that they needed to make as many examples as possible. And you being that public figure, they were like, "This, we got somebody. This is perfect. We're going to use Brandon as we're going to paint him as this ringleader." And I didn't see any of media jumping on it, proclaiming you as some sort of ringleader or anything. They were just, I don't think they had to, though, because it worked.
No.
Whatever their
yeah.
plan was worked. Like, all right, we got, it's an insurrection. That's everyone's saying it. It's almost as if they were just trying to get as much as possible. So if they needed to be like, well, look at Brandon Straka, like we've got him on record saying he was the ringleader.
Yep.
Even though no one's gonna go, and do the actual work to hear your story, to hear the side of it.
Watch my video.
And watch your video, like your actual
my
video disproved what they said.
If anybody watched my video and put on a pair of headphones while they watched it, it's so obvious where the voices are coming from, because I talk in the video multiple times.
Right.
Like, you hear my voice clearly, like, loudly coming through the left side of the head. Like, literally watch the video with headphones. If this is where my voice is, and it sounds very close.
Yeah.
The voices they're talking about sound like they're about 5 feet away and they're coming from the right. It is just, I encourage anyone to watch my video. But I mean, I don't want to get sidetracked, but when you look at something like, the Florida, the don't say gay thing, whatever, they know people won't even read a bill that takes 4 minutes to read. It takes 4 minutes to read that bill.
Short bill, yeah.
And then you can find out for yourself that everything that you're upset about isn't true. I mean, like, it would take 4 minutes to have a revelation that you're being completely lied to and manipulated, but they know people won't do that. So they know people won't watch my video. They know that they can just say whatever that they want to say, and then the damage is done. And that's, now, I don't want to, I don't see my story as a hopeless story, because I'm a really, really strong person, and I will not allow them to make this how my story ends. Like, I will not allow it. I am going to come back from this, and I am going to sort of resurrect myself. And, 2 years from now, this is going to be a blip on the radar in the past for me, because I'm going to do so much amazing work that I put this all behind me. But I can tell you right now, today, it is, as strong as I am and as thick of a skin as I have, it is devastating to me, because everything that I do, like, even if I try to do good work, I mean, I just recently raised $30,000 in the month of December. I was doing this to basically thumb my nose at all of these people who are doing this to me. I during the month of December, my organization Walkaway held an initiative that we called Refund the Police. And the goal was to try to raise money for police departments that are being defunded. Now, remember, one, I wasn't even doing any social media at the time. I wasn't doing any news appearances because I went completely radio silent while my case was being worked through. All I did was send out emails to my base, and I just said, you guys, please help me with this initiative. Help me. And I raised 30 grand in the month of December. And we publicized that, and we were like, we did this amazing thing. We put money back in the hands of defunded police officers. And like everything is just Brandon Straka, who encouraged an attack on an officer on January 6th, and it's just like, it's like they made that my legacy.
Yep.
And it's a lie.
Yep.
I mean, and that's so painful to have to endure, but what can I?
Well, I don't believe it. And what you can do is, you can keep like what you said before. You were in this moment where your worldview was basically being shattered. Like everything I believed, all my friends believe this stuff. And what did you do? You move forward. You want to move forward with your life. You want to find out how to live with, figure out so I don't feel this pain. So you're there again, essentially, and you've proven to yourself, you've proven it to your followers that you are one to want to move forward. And I think that's the most important thing that people need to know, because life will hit you hard sometimes. And it's interesting, people will probably look at it and be like, it was the system that you're trying to fund that actually kind of screwed you over. But it's, but you still believe that it's important, that we need a proper legal system, the system. They say it's like systemically racist. It's like, no, it's just systemically underpaid, undereducated, undertrained, understaffed. Like there's all sorts of issues. I don't claim to have the answers. I'm not trying to say I know exactly what's wrong with the system, but it could be better.
Yeah, but
I do know that.
What you just said applies across the board though, Adam. I mean, it's not even just the legal system. It's you were saying, you said something like the system that you were trying to help support kind of turned on you or whatever. I mean, honestly, that's how I feel about the Republican Party and about the conservative media. I mean, if I had gotten any indication early on that people were going to stand behind me and stand beside me, I might have made the decision to fight all the way to the end. I don't know for sure, but I might have. But I can tell you, I got out of jail, and for weeks I'm looking around and I'm like, nobody's even talking about the fact that I got arrested and taken away. And I mean, like, my God, I have appeared on conservative cable news more than 200 times in the last 3 years, and no one's even being like, one of our own just got picked up, and like, and I'm not even asking for like an endorsement or anything. Just like, give me the opportunity to tell my story, and say like, this is wrong. But like, I got the message loud and clear really early that people are not going to speak up about this, that despite everything that I did, and despite all of the hard work I did and all of the good that I did and how I stuck my neck out to support the Republican Party, like, they're not going to be there. They're like, you're on your own. Like, I got that really quickly, and it's demoralizing and it's scary and it's devastating. And so that hugely informed my decision to take the plea deal too, because I was like,
I'm done with this. I get it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like, you may go to trial and they find you guilty on all. First of all, if you make the decision to go to trial, this is a very vengeful Department of Justice, like very vengeful. Like, they would absolutely add more charges. Like these 2 felonies and the misdemeanor are nothing. If I had said to them, I'm going to trial, they'd been like, great, we're adding 4 more felonies. So good luck. And a DC jury, and most likely a DC judge, is not going to be on your side. And I mean, I honestly believe that if I had decided to go to trial and got found guilty on like 4 felonies and got 20 years of prison for the 8 minutes that I stood outside of the Capitol, I don't even know that it would have ever been reported.
Well, I would have talked about it.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't even honestly know if anyone would have been like, the Walkaway founder, who we all loved for 3 years, is gone. Like, I don't know if anyone ever would have said that. And that's horrifying. I mean, it's really scary.
Yeah, well, I agree with that 100%. And honestly, I just want to say I don't blame you. Because you got to do what's best for you, and you didn't you didn't deserve the just what is it, 2 days, just under 3 days in
Yeah,
prison that you were in. Like you didn't deserve that, let alone risking 20 years of your life for a movement that you're just trying to do for you don't have to do any of this. You didn't have to put yourself out there. You didn't have to be this figure to help people open up their eyes and realize that I mean, it isn't just Democrats; it's Republicans too. Like pretty much the whole political landscape, big tech media. Like you want people to open their eyes. You're just doing that to try to help people. So like risking your own life for that. Like I just want you to know, I do not blame you at all.
thank
Um,
you.
and I believe you 100%. I don't
Thank
even
you.
need to. I haven't watched your video. I don't need to watch your video. I've met you. I've hung out with you. I've followed you for quite some time, and I just I get it. I understand, and so let's move forward. What is next for you? I just a quick to let everyone know. I got to actually add this. Oh no, I think I have this in the description below. Check out his website. It's brandonstrock.com. The A is silent on the end, so
True.
a lot of people say there's an A at the end, so it's a lot of people say Straka, but it's actually just Strock. But check it out. It's BRANDONSTRAKA.com. All sorts of updates. You can sign up for his email list, all of his
Yes.
different socials. You can even contribute to his legal defense fund. Please help this guy. He's helping. He's trying and put a lot of his life to on the line to help people. Just realize that he, a lot of the media is against us, and Brandon, tell us what's next for you. What do
Thanks,
you
Adam.
what's your plan?
Appreciate that. Okay, so let's talk about the sentencing then. So my
Sure.
case dragged out for over a year. The government very cruelly continued the case 5 times, as they have done,
Why?
because they're trying to just hurt people as much as they possibly can, and that's honestly the truth. I'm sure you probably heard about Matthew Perna, the young guy who committed suicide about a
Yeah.
month ago because they pushed him. He couldn't take it anymore, and
Yeah.
I get it. I mean, I completely get it. So one of the reasons why they're doing this is because they've made up this huge story about how this is an insurrection, and that they're trying to do as much damage as they can do through narrative and through the creation
Mhm.
of story, knowing that they can't really back this up, and they don't have the ability to,
Prove it.
well, or to like incarcerate people the way that they want to. Yes, I know
Okay.
that there are a good deal of people who are rotting right now in the DC jail, but
Still.
I don't honestly know how many people that is, but I know that at this point they've charged 800, and I'd say at least 700 are not in jail awaiting detention. However, that's a way you keep people in jail. You just keep continuing the case. So because they
Mm.
know, like, the longer this goes on, they're ruining people's careers. They're ruining people. Like, people are having their savings drained. So that, because it costs money. The longer this goes on, it's just financially devastating. And it keeps, every time they continue the case, it creates another round of news stories. MAGA insurrectionist who encouraged an attack on a police officer, who uses social media or her social media to it just, the news stories come out. It's just to hurt. It's to cause as much pain as they
Yep.
can possibly cause. They continued my case 5 times, and finally that brought us through to the month of January. So an entire year after they came and arrested me, I finally was sentenced in front of a judge. Now, bear in mind, I have no criminal record. This is my first offense. I am being charged with a Class B, which is to say a mid-level misdemeanor charge for disorderly conduct. This is a charge that the court, the judge herself, referred to as a petty offense. That's what a mid-level misdemeanor is, a petty offense.
Yeah.
I was sentenced to 3 months of house arrest,
3 months.
which I'm still on. I have an ankle monitor on right now.
Wow.
3 years of probation, 60 hours of community service, the maximum fine of $5,000, $500 restitution to be paid to the Capitol, even though I didn't do any damage or destruction to the Capitol. And then of course I went to jail for days, and I spent an entire year on pretrial supervision while they continued my case 5 times. This is over a first offense misdemeanor for disorderly conduct. So as things stand right now, I have 10 days left before the end of my house arrest, and then I'm on
almost
probation.
there.
Yeah,
You're almost free, baby. Almost free.
And then I'm on probation until 2025.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's just unbelievable. But
what are you gonna do first? What are you gonna do first? When that thing comes off your ankle, where are you going?
Honestly, just, really trite, stupid little things. I'm just gonna go out and go get a coffee.
Go for a walk. Yeah.
I'm gonna go for a walk. I'm gonna go for a run. I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna just, little things like that I miss just getting out of my house, like get some sunshine on my face. It's crazy. But so what's next for Walkaway is that, so in January of 2021, actually before I got arrested, when big tech was doing the conservative purges,
right,
they banned the Walkaway campaign. So at that point, Walkaway had 510,000 people in it. We had tens of thousands of video and written testimonials of people.
This is the Facebook group, right?
Yeah, and it's all gone. So that is gone. But the group is gone. The Facebook group is gone. What is not gone is the spirit of the movement and what it's all about. So what my team and I decided to do immediately, and by the way, we didn't know January 6th was going to happen. We didn't know how bad, things were going to go south.
Mm-hmm.
But as Walkaway was becoming more and more and more successful, we knew that at any moment we might wake up one day and Facebook took the group away.
Yeah.
So we always knew that we needed to create our own platform. We just didn't have it nearly as incentivized as when there was just this massive purge, and it was kind of tied into January 6th. So after I got out of jail, once I kind of emotionally recovered a little bit, my team and I got to work hiring a development company, and we've been building our own social media platform, which is called Walkaway Social. And we're going to be launching it. We hope that it will be ready for launch by midsummer. We've basically fashioned it to look and feel and function exactly like our Facebook group did. And so people will be able to come to Walkaway Social, create an account really easily, and then join. We'll have multiple groups available. The Walkaway campaign group, we'll have state groups, just like we still have those. For some reason, Facebook didn't take those down. So there's a Walkaway state group for all 50 states, but we're moving all of that over to our own platform. And so we're going to launch that probably in midsummer. So we're going to get that community reunited and get those testimonials going again, the video and written testimonials. Only this time it's going to be housed on servers that are owned by politically like-minded people.
They can't touch it.
They can't touch it. We own the platform, and it's going to be on servers with like-minded people who support what we do.
Awesome.
And and then of course we still have the Walkaway Foundation and the Walkaway Pack, and we've got incredible events already lined up happening now. So in the month of May, I'm heading to California, and we're going to do a Walkaway comedy event with comedians who have left the left. So a live event, and then we're going to sit down and do a discussion, which we'll live stream. And then the pack has got some really cool stuff. I'm a big fan. I don't know if you know who Carrie Lake is.
Yeah, she's Arizona.
Yes.
Fantastic.
I'm a huge fan of hers. And
she's awesome.
Let me just tell you, see, now this to me is the perfect example of a true leader. So you've got people Republicans in Congress who have never reached out to me, who have never, after everything I've been through, haven't even just been like, hey, are you okay? How are you doing? Nothing, because they're too cowardly. They're too stupid. They're too spineless to actually take a stand. And these are people who have a job, their jobs are not in danger. They're in office right now. Then you've got someone like Carrie Lake, who she doesn't have a job. She's running for governor. She has everything to lose as a candidate, and she is she's like, I can't wait to do an event with you. And she was like, I know January 6th is a bunch of horse shit. And she's like, I'm happy to stand behind you. So on June 11th, Walkaway is traveling to Arizona. We're doing an event with Carrie Lake. We're calling it #carried away with Carrie Lake. Yeah.
That's good.
And it's gonna be amazing. So we're gonna do a really cool kind of cocktail parties. I'm gonna sit down on stage with Carrie and interview her, and she's
Nice.
already tweeting about it and being like, "Can't wait to work with Brandon Strock." And I'm like, "That's a leader.
Yep.
That's what a leader does."
Mm-hmm.
And some of the Republicans who already have jobs could learn a lot from someone like that. And another person that I really feel strongly about is Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, me too.
And same thing. I haven't had an opportunity to meet him yet, but I was invited in April. I couldn't go because I'm on house arrest.
Right.
And his team has already done an event with me virtually,
Cool.
but because of house arrest. But again, that's what a leader does. That's a leader. That it's not a person who's like, oh, CNN says, January 6th is an insurrection, so we can't talk to anyone who got arrested because CNN says not to. No, a real leader says CNN is full of shit.
Yeah.
We're not going along with this stupid narrative, and we're not going to turn our backs on good people who have been ensnared into this trap. And so that's why I feel so strongly about Carrie Lake and Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, Carrie Lake. I would love to interview her. She's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course DeSantis, like he's given a big, huge, FU to basically big tech. Did you see that he's saying because the 401k of Floridians are, I don't know if it's 401k or something with like Florida's pension fund. I think it's the pension fund actually owns Twitter stock. And
Oh my God.
and he was saying that because the Twitter stock has been stagnant, it has been making money, and it turns out this whole thing with Elon Musk is kind of shedding light on the fact that they don't care about making money; they care about maintaining control over the conversations, on Twitter. So they're saying like, "Oh man, like." We're gonna sue Twitter. Like we're looking into it. If Florida can like sue Twitter, and I'm like, oh snaps! Like they're about to sue Twitter.
He's so good. He's so good. I love that dude. I really do.
Yeah, he's amazing. Really, really hyped to see that. So cool. That's I have a couple super chats. I also have a couple questions from my locals. Every time I have an interview, I always just kind of pop over to my locals just for my members that support me over there.
Sure.
First one is from Mr. Squiggles, asks, why is the last A silent?
I wish I knew, and it's really stupid. And please, for the love of God, don't think that it's like my way of trying to be like cool or unique or something. It's not. So in fact, so here's the thing. My family has always pronounced our last name Strock, and I grew up in a really tiny town in Nebraska, very, very, very small. Like my graduating class from high school was 18 people.
18. Oh, yeah, that's tiny. Wow.
Yeah, tiny. So everybody kind of knew everybody, and nobody really questioned it. Like everyone was just like, "Oh, the Strocks, Brandon Strock and blah 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 Strock." So it didn't come up that often, but like every once in a while, like if I went somewhere where somebody was reading my name off a list or something, then I was like, "Oh yeah, no, it's pronounced Strock." Well, so the point is, I'm very used to people just assuming that my last name is Straka. So I don't care. Like I've never had like an emotional attachment to it one way or another. And I'll answer to
That's
both.
the energy right there. I love that.
And I'll answer to both. And I don't correct people. I mean, so if someone says like, hey, Brandon Straka, I'm like, yeah, that's me. And then the people who know me really well are like, Brandon Strock. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. And so because I don't really care if people say Strock or Straka, I completely regret that when I was blowing up that I even made a thing of it, because like when I would on, well, like, yeah, in a way, because like when I started doing Fox News interviews, people would right before we'd go live, they'd be like, how do I pronounce your last name? And I'd be like, oh, it's actually pronounced Strock, and they'd be like, but it's spelled Straka. And I'm like, yeah, it's spelled Straka, but it's pronounced Strock. And then, so, like Tucker or Laura Ingraham or whoever would be like, we're talking with Brandon Strock. And then it started a thing because people would be like, well, they're saying Strock. Are they saying your name wrong? And I'm like, no. It's like the A is actually silent. And then it's created a mess.
Okay. So you didn't make Straka it a thing. You just were explaining it. And people were like, oh, this is the thing.
Right, but I'm saying my life would have been so much easier if I had just from the beginning said my last name was Straka. And I don't
Yeah.
even care. Like,
Right.
if I
Okay.
just told like Tucker and Lauren, whoever, just be like, oh no, just Straka. Straka's
Yeah.
good. And
Yeah.
just made it that. Like it would have been good. Yeah. But,
All right. Interesting. All right, we got another one from Robert Wiles. He says, what does he feel was his best moment in the past few years?
oh my God. Well, it's been a really awesome last few years. So, I mean, like some of the great moments were when I spoke at the Trump rally in 2019. That was pretty amazing. I got to speak in front of 18,000 people in Cincinnati at the Trump rally.
Mhm.
Um, any of the walkway marches we've done I've just been amazing. I think my video that I launched Walkway with was, I mean, there've just been some really great moments. Those are some of the best ones.
That's cool. He actually super chatted as well. Let me just find that. He said, I hope this makes Betty and Diana smile. Tomorrow I will be having my CT. Hopefully it goes well and won't be much needed to fix my my BK my your back. What is CT? I don't you keep
A
mentioning it, but I'm
CT
not sure.
scan.
Oh, CT scan. Yeah, that would
Yeah.
be what it
Oh,
is. Well, I hope it goes well, Robert. I hope it
so
goes
do
well.
I.
Mr. Squiggles in chat, he's like, I was just kind of joking, but no, it's a good question though, because it is a thing, So I like that you asked it. We got another question from my local set. This is from Falderl. Is the walkaway movement more for people that think the Democrats are going the right direction too fast, or for the people that think the Democrats have gone too far in the wrong direction? Well, I think we answered that um, earlier on when we were talking about like what the walkaway movement is. It's not about Democrats or Republicans. It is walking away from the Democrats, but I don't think it's because they're going in the right direction too fast. I mean, they're
No.
they're going in the
God.
wrong. They're definitely going in the wrong direction.
No, it's the
Uh,
latter for sure. The
yeah, the
second
latter
option.
for
Yeah.
sure.
And it's too bad that for temporarily for that we don't have the group right now, that Facebook took it down, because you could watch and read the stories, and everybody has a different reason, which is why it's so compelling. It's so good. I mean, so many people left because of Black Lives Matter,
Mhm.
those riots. So many people left because of COVID and the shutdowns. So many people left because of the media, and everybody's story is different and super interesting. I can't wait until we have our group back.
Yeah. Well, when you get that media site, you should come back on and we can blast
Yeah,
it out there.
for sure.
We got a couple super chats. Sheridan for $10 says, I tell everyone to look at Brandon's story, and why lie about what the devil is saying? Just tell me what he is saying. He's the devil. Tell me what he said isn't. Wait, hold on.
This is getting deep.
This I know. I gotta bring it over because I'm like, so this is in quotes. So I tell everyone to look at Brandon's story, and then the quote starts. Why lie about what the devil is saying? Just tell me what he is saying. End quote. He's the devil. Tell me what he said shouldn't be bad enough. I don't know what exactly you're saying there.
I don't either.
Because like I
I just
I
don't know who she's talking about.
right, because why lie about what the devil is saying? Just tell me what he's saying. And your story, you're basically, you were shining a light on like the media, big tech. That to me, like that's what it was about. But it's like then this person Sheridan says he's the devil, and I'm like, how did you get that? It's like, what?
Like I'm the devil?
Yeah, I
Oh.
don't understand your super chat at all. But okay, that was weird. If you're in chat and I totally misunderstood what you said, just tag me in chat and clarify, because I have no idea what you meant by that. We got another RVDL for $13.99 Canadian dollars. I don't even know what that translates to, but thank you. He says, our own Pravda spins a web of lies. Where truth can't be told, democracy dies. You know who they are paid by, so don't be naive. Think about what they would do to lead you to believe. What a good what is that from? That feels like a song to be sung. That's fantastic, and it's true. I mean, I hear about the Canadian system through Jordan Peterson talks about it. Viva Fry was on my show, and we were chatting about the Canadian media is essentially the same thing. It's just an extension of the the big tech agencies controlling the narrative. So Matthew Hammond says, I appreciate you, Brandon. This experience you went through will make you fearless to know that you can survive this. The left fears your effectiveness. 100% agree with that. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. You are effective, and you brought a pretty decent crowd. And that was in the midst of,
A pandemic.
the pandemic. Like it was the summer, like
Super
peak
spreader.
summertime.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. You were the super spreader, not any of the.
I basically am responsible for the Delta variant single-handedly.
I'm sure someone out there actually believes that. J. Russ is celebrating 4 months as a member. Thank you, J. Russ. Says, remember, they want you silenced because you are making a massive difference, Brandon. Now, all together, everyone, unironically, let's go, Brandon. Yes, in the realest sense of the words, let's go, Brandon. I appreciate that.
Are you able to show, like, I don't want to stop you from what you're doing, but are you able to show a shirt that's on my website? You don't have to.
Yeah, how do I get to it? Just to shop?
Yeah, brandonstraka.com shop.
Yeah,
I want to show everyone my Let's Go Brandon shirt, just because this isn't a shameless plug for a sale. I just want to show everyone.
That's fantastic.
It's a good one, right?
I mean, it's using it.
All right. Are you able to zoom in a little bit?
Yeah,
because what's really cool is that the eyes, like, if you have this shirt, the eyes really pop. Like, because I actually have a real one. Like, I have a shirt, and they're really cool looking in real life.
Okay, so people asked what grifting is earlier.
It's what I'm doing right now.
This is a grift. All right. Hey, you got to respect the grift. All right. That's grifting off of the Let's Go Brandon. But the fact remains, his name is Brandon. So
yeah,
it's
he's like coming back from like, let's go, cheer me on.
Some grifts you got to just give respect to. So that's one of those grifts.
Allison says that's an excellent grift. Thank you, Allison.
Yes. See, exactly. Exactly. That's funny. Darth Vader celebrating 6 months. Thank you very much, Vader. Says the only way to fix this is term limits for Congress. Far too long we have had career politicians, which is not what our founding fathers have intended. By taking the plea deal, they broke you in their eyes. Maybe, but he needed to do what was best for himself. But I do agree with term limits, and also I think there needs to be some sort of limits on the non-elected officials in our government, because a lot of times we have these people that aren't elected that just stay, and it doesn't matter who's elected because they're just staying there. And those are also, they don't answer to anybody. They don't answer to us. They don't answer to the people who are elected. And that's also a pretty big deal that we need to focus on. Here is the same. RVDL actually super chatted the same thing again. So I'm going to read it again because,
the devil thing again?
No. It's our own Pravda spins a web of lies where truth can be told, democracy dies. You know who they're paid, so don't be naive. Think about what they would lead you to believe. Just like that. I wanted to read it again. I liked it. Frank Rizzo, thank you for that $10 super chat. Didn't even say anything, but I appreciate that. RVDL yet again said the same thing. I mean, I read all my super chats, so I got to read this. Our own Pravda spins a web of lies where truth can't be told, democracy dies. You know who they're paid, so don't be naive. Think about what they would have you to believe. Very, very good.
Maybe he wrote that, and that's what he's trying to get it, like, to catch on.
It's gonna use my voice in some sort of clip in like a song and like sample it.
Yeah.
Captain Ridiculous Awesome Sauce says, please send your feelers out to Hawaii for an event because we are being strangled here. Kofifi for life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know anything about Hawaiian politics, to be honest. I know
my God, they're so liberal. It's basically the whole island, I think, is like oh my God, I'm blanking out right now. What was the name of that horrible prison where all the American soldiers?
Alcatraz?
No. Is it Abu Ghraib?
Guantanamo?
The one where they stacked up all the naked prisoners. Wasn't that Abu Ghraib? Yeah, I think it was Abu Ghraib.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, that's basically what Hawaii is like at this point.
Well, if you think about it too, like, where do they get their information from, right? It's all online. It's all the TV. That's all it is. So, and for who knows how long that because they're an island, way out in the Pacific Ocean. Yeah, I guess people are agreeing it's Abu
Abu
Ghraib.
Ghraib.
Yeah, Abu Ghraib. Yeah. So it's kind of a shame. But are you out in Hawaii, Captain Rikus? Awesome sauce. It's cool. I didn't know that. Mr. Squiggles celebrating. Wow. Is this real? Is this accurate number? 21 months. Wow. Almost 2 years of being a member in my channel. 21 months. That's amazing. Mr. Squiggles, thank you so much. Says, I'm kind of disappointed Trump hasn't really acknowledged the January 6th folks much. Makes me worried and wonder if we can even trust Trump. I mean, he has mentioned him, but I agree with you. He should be making a huge issue out of it. And you know what? He's afraid to because of how much they've vilified you and anyone else who was there. It's like there are people that really feel that those people were trying to overthrow the U.S. government.
So stupid.
Like,
stupid.
Yeah, I mean, those people were smoking joints in there and like running around, like taking selfies. Like that's not what people who want to like overthrow a government are doing.
Yeah, everyone grab your flagpole. We're gonna go overthrow the government.
Come on, Grandma. Like, Grandma's all there, like, what are we doing, guys? Dude, it's so silly. Brandon, what a pleasure. Thank you for joining me, man.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed hearing your story. You'll have to come back sometime.
Yep. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I'm off house arrest in 10 days. And
that deserves a bell ring.
Thank you. I'm still traumatized by a lot of stuff. So here's what I'll say. As of today, I was told that I have confirmed a very big interview, which will be 2 weeks, literally 2 weeks from today. I don't want to say what it is yet.
Oh, you can't tease me like that.
I'll tell you privately.
Okay. All right.
But I'm just telling everyone to please keep an eye out the week of May 3rd, because it's going to be a huge interview to tell my story. So.
Oh, very excited about that. That's well, anyway, I'm going to end the show so I can, talk to this guy afterwards and hear who that's or what that's about. We got one more. Captain Ridiculous Awesome Sauce for 10 says media is controlled here. Local politics are mostly Democrats and everyone just falls in line. Those of us who woke up are slowly trying to change things at a grassroots level. Captain Ridiculous Awesome Sauce. That's how it starts.
That's right.
Good shit, man. That's it. And good luck doing that. Man, maybe we can talk about helping get some more light on what's going on over there. That's great. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Tomorrow is 1/8 Wednesday. You know what that means. Quarter Black's going to be joining me tonight. I'm going to be joining Rackets over on his channel, Rakita Media. He's been doing the Johnny Depp Amber Heard. We are watching the rest of the Jack Murphy interview, and we're going to be discussing it because we're halfway through it. We're going to basically finish that interview. And tomorrow I'm going on Slightly Frank after my show as well. Lots of stuff is happening. Really excited about it. So thank you guys for joining. Brandon, it's a pleasure.
I love Frank, by the way.
Oh, he's great. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I'll see y'all next time.